from the Arcade Network, and you another video, and this one might be a little bit longer, just because I want to go through some specific things for you guys. Today's video is going to be about the top 5 things, or at least the 5 things that I think most players need to know when they're starting Smite, or when they're getting into Smite, or usually any MOBA, but this one just pertains to Smite, because that's what I've been playing for the past, month or like 4 months, however long the beta has been out. So, these are just a couple things I want to go through. I'm going to go through one of them completely, and that's going to be the tutorial, which is actually going to be the very first thing that every single new Smite player, or any MOBA player, if you're getting into any new MOBA, should do. And that is go through the tutorial. There's been a lot of games going on that have had players either not know what they're doing, not know the basics of a MOBA, or not know what they're doing and why. So I'm going to show you guys what the tutorial is. You guys should definitely get into it and go through it. There's going to be someone talking in the background, but I'm going to kind of talk over them just to kind of explain things more as they talk. So I'll just tune myself out, and then afterwards I'll kind of explain stuff. So this is the Smite tutorial.
Welcome to the Smite tutorial. Your objective is to defeat the Titan in the enemy base. To do this, you will need to destroy the enemy's defenses. In Smite, you control gods and immortals, powerful beings capable of great destruction. Each has its own unique abilities and fighting style. In this tutorial, you will control Neith, the Egyptian weaver of fate. Now, let's practice navigation. Move to the waypoint near your Titan. Use the left and right stick to get there.
Now these first few parts are going to be pretty basic. They're just going to be showing you I'm clicking the right stick to jump, but you don't really need to know that. But that's just going to be your first part.
Outside of your base near your Phoenix. Move there now.
And it's just going to show you, how you can move and stuff like that, which is basic stuff.
Now in the lane. Use the right stick to aim, then fire your bow when you're ready.
And I would say this is a good place to set up your sensitivity.
You gain experience or XP. Gain enough XP and you will level up, allowing you to unlock abilities. Unlock Spirit Arrow. Great. Now use the Spirit Arrow ability to attack the minions.
This is another good place to set your sensitivity, because you can go back and forth, practice
with the target visible, press the trigger button
how much you want everything to be, and then they will reset for you.
You've taken a lot of damage and need to replenish your health.
That's all you need to do, really.
Within the fountain, gods will rapidly gain health and restore their
Just hit down to go back to the fountain, as you can see.
Welcome home. Gold can be used to purchase items from your team's item store, but only while you are in your base fountain. Open the item store now. This view is your recommended list and shows items most likely to help you in your role. One of these items is Lightblade. Great. You can also purchase active items. Finally, let's buy a consumable item. Very good. These items, you can use this view to search for other active items or consumables. Now that you've collected your equipment, let's explore the jungle. The jungle is a term used for the paths on either side of the lane. While in the jungle, your visibility is reduced, and you can't see the enemies as far away. This is a jungle camp. Jungle camps provide powerful buffs to the gods who defeat them. Your active item, Hand of the Gods, will help you to quickly defeat this camp. Use the active item Hand of the Gods to clear the jungle camp. When you defeat this camp, collect the buff that drops to the ground.
And this is just your basic stuff too. You're just going through collecting buffs.
You've taken some damage. Use the consumable health potion now. Oh dear, it looks like one of your allies, Odin, is rushing the enemy tower. By attacking without support, Odin will surely fail. Be wary around towers, as they will come to the defense of friendly gods attacked under them. It's time to join the fight. Your tower is under attack from enemy minions. Go there now and defeat them.
Now this is probably one of the biggest things and the biggest parts, and I would say that if you're starting the tutorial, this is where you want to pay attention.
So they can take the brunt of the battle. Now push the fight to the enemy tower. Remember to stay behind your minions so that they take the brunt of the tower's attack. If the
Now
tower
what?
targets you, fall back out of range.
Now what they don't tell you here is that there's a couple exceptions, and I will go ahead and explain them. And since that's very loud and they're going to keep spawning, I'm really not going to do anything. Basically, the way it works is the tower will focus the minions as long as the minions are there first. Once all the minions are gone, the towers will focus you. So no matter what, you'd never want to be in a tower's range unless it's basically that low, to where you can just come up and one-shot it, or it's got minions underneath it, or other teammates who will get into roles a bit later. Now another thing that it doesn't show you, or maybe it does, is how minions attack other people. I'll just destroy that real quick.
Has joined the fight. Enemy gods are a greater threat and are usually controlled by enemy players. You should defeat this god before moving on.
Okay, now what this doesn't tell you is with minions, okay, if you attack an enemy god, the enemy minions will focus you for a certain time. So, let's say he had minions, the minions would have started attacking me.
Once destroyed all of your minions in this lane,
also,
upgraded weapons and deal more damage.
Minions will focus you first if you're underneath a tower. But if you back off and get behind the tower, the minions will focus the tower, and then they'll focus the minions. So basically, a minion's priorities are minions, objectives, and then other gods. Unless another god is hit, then they will attack you. So that's a big thing to learn. Another thing to learn is buffs. They really don't go over buffs too much. I don't even think they actually spawn on here, but there's purple buff, which is attack speed, yellow buff, which is speed, just movement speed, blue buff is mana buff, and red buff is damage buff. I'll go ahead and kill you.
Congratulations, you have won your first game. Next, you should try some co-op games against non-player gods, or if truly brave, against other players.
So that's pretty much the tutorial, and it's really quick, it's really easy. They don't really go over too much, which I think that they should go over, and I think eventually they will have more tutorials, but that's just the basics. If you're a brand new player, you need to go through that, and if you're a brand new player and you don't want to go through that, there you go, you can just watch that, and end here. If that's what you're wanting to do, you'll get the victory thing, then I'll show you what happens afterwards, which is basically, you get favor, worshippers, and experience.
Favor is granted to you upon completion of your match. It is used to acquire many things, including additional gods and skins. Worshippers are gained for the particular god that you are playing during the match. Increasing your worshippers grants you mastery levels that allow you to access exclusive content for that god. Experience is gained for time spent in a match. Gaining enough experience advances the players to the next level, which comes with a nice favor bonus. Accolades are a listing of your special accomplishments during the match. There are additional screens accessible from these buttons that will give you further details about your match. Pressing the home button returns you to the game lobby when you are ready to leave your match.
And then of course this shows you your stuff, your details, blah blah blah. So, once you've done that, you've went through the tutorial, you know your basics, which I kind of explained a little bit more. Which basically the breakdown to where you need to pay attention is as soon as, if you're going to play it and you're kind of lost on, okay, what do I need to take in? The main spot that you need to immediately start paying huge attention is when they start talking about your minions, and basically minion priorities. Basically, they will prioritize other minions first, then objectives, then gods, unless a god is in the way. Now, if you are in front of your minions, their minions will attack you, and the same goes for towers. Towers will attack minions first, then you, as long as there's minions in the circle. So you never want to be in a tower without minions or a ally god that's with you. So, number one is the tutorial. So number two is something that isn't really completely needed, but it's something that I feel is a good thing, and that's look at the gods and pick who you like. You know, everyone has that god they think they might like, and I mean, I have what, 22 gods owned now, so I have a lot of gods owned that I can play. But everyone has those few that they like and that they might want to try. So just go through, look at the gods. When you first start, you start with 5. You start with Ra, you start with Thor, you start with Neith, you start with Ymir, and you start with Guan Yu. So as your first starting 5, look at each one and see which one you might think you want to play. Guan Yu's more of a warrior, and so is Thor. And Ra is a mage. Neith is an archer or a hunter, and Ymir is a guardian. So you look at the gods, and we'll just say we'll take, I don't know, we'll take Thor, because Thor's, you know, Avengers, everyone wants to play Thor. Thor is fantastic. So you start with Thor. And you're like, okay, I want to play Thor. Well, after that, you're going to want to get into a game, whether it be co-op, whether it be, I mean, I when I first started, I wanted to know the very beginning, so what I did was I went in here and I actually went into practice and then conquest. That's, you play with bots, so you can just kind of get used to the flavor of your god, I guess you could call it. But even if you're going into co-op to play with other players but against gods, and this is probably the number one stressor, I can't stress more than anything, plug in your microphone. Every single Xbox One that has been purchased, every 360 that's ever been purchased, every video game console, except for, I'm pretty sure back in like Gen 2 and stuff like that, like 360s, Xbox Ones, they've all come with headsets. They don't have to be the best headsets in the world, and they don't have to be the greatest thing ever. And they don't have to be your Astro A40s, your Turtle Beaches, your Tritons, your Razors, to where, you know, you get your surround game sound. It doesn't have to be that. It can be your basic headset that comes with your Xbox. But you want that plugged in. In a game like this, communication is key, and without communication, your chances drop dramatically in succeeding in a game like this, in any kind of MOBA. That's why even if people aren't in Skype calls on League of Legends or whatever, they're in the chat talking to each other, calling out their rules. They have pings that they use, that if they need something, they'll ping like crazy. In the Xbox, they don't have stuff like that yet. They will be adding a VGS system, or a basically a ping system, to where, you know, hey, attack here, this place is missing, for people who don't have mics. But until they put that in, you need to have a microphone in, and there's not really a major excuse. If you have Smite, you have an Xbox One, and you have a microphone. It doesn't have to be the best thing in the world, but something is better than nothing. And if you don't communicate, some things could be mishandled, some things could be misjudged, or something that really needed to be communicated by one team or another may have gone amiss because it didn't happen, and now your team is behind. An example. I am a jungler. I'm not a great jungler, by all means, but for the people that I play with, and most of the time I am always in the jungle, and jungling is probably one of the most underrated and important roles in MOBAs. And you're always going to be going for ganks, which basically means you're always going to be trying to sneak up on someone and help them with a kill. You're always going to be roaming through the jungle, going from lane to lane, helping people. So if you have someone that doesn't have a microphone, you can mistime a gank, you can mistime a buff, you can drop a buff and someone never hears it or sees it or gets it if they're focused on their lane and not looking at their map. You can go do a mid camp with mid and mid doesn't ever see it. Or, even worse, you could be in trouble and need help from someone who's in a lane, but you'll never be able to convey that because you don't have your mic in. And it works for every single lane like that. If solo lane's person goes into the jungle, if you have a mic, you could say, "Hey, they're coming mid," or "Hey, they're in the jungle." So now the jungler knows, mid knows, they know to watch out, they know to back up. If you don't say anything about it, then they're either going to get ganked and not know about it, and then they're pushed up too far, or the jungler's going to run into them and be like, "Whoa, what the heck?" When the other team might be communicating, so he knows you're there. And it's just something that really needs to be pushed over. It's probably the biggest thing on this list. I would say it's the second biggest thing. Because the next thing that's on the list, you don't need communication for, because usually you know if you're not doing something, which I'll get to in the next step. But everybody has a mic. There's no reason you shouldn't be using it. And I know this game's in beta. Well, it will be in beta. It's really an alpha. But if you're playing this game and you get into a lobby and everyone's mics just flare up real quick and you can see them, you know people have mics. You know people can use them. If you get into a lobby where the little chat thing doesn't flare up, then you know chat might be broken, which is understandable. But if your mics are working, there's no excuse not to use it, and it's something that's just bad. So now that we have went through the tutorial, so we know the basics of the game, we know not to tower dive and face palm on towers, we know what gods we like, or we would like to play, and we know, hey, we need to communicate with people. Now, this next game that I'm actually going to hop into isn't going to be versus people or with anybody that I need to communicate with, but it's just going to be something to help us out. So, step 2, well, actually, we'll actually go forward 1 and then come back to the last step. So step 4 is going to be roles. I've already went over kind of the rules, but I'm going to reiterate them because I have had some people kind of do the whole professionals do this, I don't need to worry about rules, anybody can play anything. And I 100% understand that. It's not impossible for certain gods to play certain places. I mean, anybody can do it. But each class has their role for a reason. And you're going to get the most success as a team if you use these roles properly. You know, each class, Assassin, Guardian, Hunter, Mage, Warrior, they have their set places. Yeah, some of them can multi-role. Chang'e is a very good example. She's a mage, but she's a very good solo laner. Loki is a very good jungler, but sometimes he can play mid or solo because he has a good wave clear. His decoy can wave clear really quick at high levels. Hades is a guardian, but most of the time you'll see him as a solo lane because he's got that range and damage if you build him damage. But the top tier gods are put in the places that they are for a very good reason. Hi-Rez knows who goes where and where you're going to find the most success with certain gods. So knowing whose roles go where is a very, very big thing. So I'm going to go over this really, really fast and explain it with the map, and then we'll move on to the last part. So assassins. Assassins are going to be your junglers. Mainly because they don't have the real beefiness to lane with people, and some of them don't have the wave clear to lane with people. You can't really lane with Thanatos or Thor or Kali or Awilix, Niza or Mercury, just because the other people they're going to be laning with, unless they're in solo lane, are going to have range. They're going to be able to just push them back. So assassins are your junglers. Your guardians are your supports. They have a natural tankiness and they don't have that much damage, and all of their recommended items are going to be for defense. So they are always going to be supports. Support is going to be in your long lane. And the way you decide the long lane is whichever lane the towers are farthest apart. If you're on the order side or the white side, your long lane is going to be on your left. If you're on the red side, you're going to be on the right side. Pairing with the guardians are going to be your hunters. They are also going to go in that lane. That is why they call that duo lane. Long lane is also duo lane. They're going to be your AD carries. Very rarely you'll see them anywhere else. Your mages are your mids. And really, besides a couple, you'll never see them anywhere else. Aphrodite can support because she has heals. Chang'e can solo because she has heals. That's pretty much it. If they're anywhere else, they're going to fall behind. So all of your mages are going to be mid, and then finally your warriors are the only ish. Most of them are going to solo. And that's pretty much it. So those are your basic roles. And they're that way, so when you're picking a team composition, you want one of each, and you want them in those specific areas. Now, these are your solo lane. They're going to be also your short lane. You tell that by the towers are closer together. So now that we have, so let's go back to the list one more time. So now we have our tutorial. We know how to play the game. We know which god we kind of wanted to try, so we picked Thor. Thor is an assassin, so he's going to be your jungler. We have our communication. I have a mic right now. I'm talking. And we know our roles. We know where everyone's going to be going. And when we get into this game, you'll see the roles are usually the same. Now we're going to get into probably the most confusing part of the game, and that's the meta. People can get really confused when that term is used. Basically, a meta is just a strategy. The game is made for this, and it's made to be played this way. It's the best way to find success. You can change up as much as you want, and you can find some weird things that might work every once in a while, but for a good consistent success, you want to play with this meta, and I'm going to show you what this kind of looks like as I get into this game. So we're going to go ahead and hop into this. So, like I said before, we want Thor. And by the way, I'm going to take this time to say every weekend while the beta and alpha's up. And as you can see, my mic's moving, so if I had allies that were talking, they could see me. But anyways, every weekend, the gods are free. All of them are open. You can play them all, try them all, see if there's someone you might want to buy with your favor. Or gems, if you have them. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Thor. And this is another thing. So while you're here, you do not ever have to lock in. You can just hit A once, sit your god there, and you don't have to touch it. No one can take your god. But this is a good place to pick your god, sit, and see what everyone else is picking. Now, their computers are not going to do that, so when I lock in, they're going to go ahead and pick themselves. But you have all of this time to say, hey guys, okay, I want to play Thor, I want to jungle. So if someone else picks Fenrir, or Kali, or Loki, you can kind of talk to them and say, hey, you know, I'm new at this. I really want to jungle. I've been watching videos. I've been learning. Can you let me play this? Maybe you can play something else. And if we get in the same game or party up, you can jungle next time. And they can go pick another god. So I'm going to go ahead and lock in. And I'm going to pick my skin because, you know, skins are skins. And as you can see, look at who's being picked for both teams. You have your Thors. They're going to be your junglers. Sobek, Ymir. They're going to be your supports. Neith, Artemis. They're going to be your AD carries, your hunters. Ra and Anubis. They're going to be your mids. Even the basic bots know their rules and their meta, and they know where they're going and what they're doing. I don't know how many times earlier today even I got into a game where there was an Ullr and an Isis in solo lane, which then caused an Ares, who is a guardian, a support, to be alone in his lane. and Hercules, a solo laner and a warrior, to be in mid. Somehow I made it work, but that's just over experience, and once you get experience, you can make some things work. And that's another thing to think about. Once you get into games where you have experience, then you can make some different things work. But until then, and you're getting new to the game, don't stray away from anything, no matter what anyone tells you. People can tell you, oh, well, I saw this pro player play this. Don't listen to them. Because if you're a brand new player, you don't have the skill set to take a player out of their natural position and do something with them. The pro players can do that for a reason. That's why they make money for it. That's why they're professionals. Now, on that note, as we're coming into this, if you're new to a god, stick to the recommended items. Right here, this is all you need to see. It'll usually stop like this. You just bring that tab down. That's the order you usually buy things in. Except for actives, consumables, you can kind of do that and vary the damage and defensive on how you're playing. But just go into here and pick what you want. That's a starter item, so I'll get that. That's an active, so I usually start with a starter and an active. I'll usually start with boots and a couple pots, and other that. So now, as you can see, you have Neith and Sobek in the long lane, or the left lane, because we're on the white side. You have Hercules, who's soloing. He's a warrior in the right lane. And you have Anubis, who's the mage in the mid lane. So now we get to talk about the meta. Now, the bots aren't really going to go by too much of the meta, so I'm going to explain the way you would start a game. Every game starts the same. The support, the hunter, or the guardian, the hunter, and the mage, or the mid, and the two lefts will go to the damage buff, the red buff, get that for the middle, and then go get the attack speed for the left lane for the hunter. The hunter will take that. The jungler, or me, will come up and take attack speed, which I'll try to do without dying. And then after you get attack speed, you will then go and get mana buff for the solo lane. Now, during the laning phase, the jungler will usually go over here and help out the side laners. For the bots, they're not going to do that because they're bots. But as you can see, there's minions. And now the minions are gone, they're going to start focusing him. I'm going to kill him. And as you can see, there's minions there. I'm sitting behind the minions. They're not focusing me, but if I hit the enemy god, they immediately start attacking me. Now, he's going to leave and have to go back, so that's going to happen. But then, basically what's going to happen is as the laning phase goes on, the support is going to roam after a little bit, and he'll usually watch the left jungle a little bit. Getting mid camps maybe, helping out the mid maybe, but usually helping out the left lane mostly. The jungler will usually stay no longer than 2 or 3 minutes. Now that this lane's pushed up, I'll usually leave. And usually the other Thor would leave as well and go jungle. Now basically as my jungler, as my meta, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go and start here and then get blue buff, so those two will be down. If I feel like I'm ahead, or that the other person, because sometimes you'll get into a place where the enemy team isn't jungling. Then I'll invade and I'll go over to the other side. If I feel like I can't, or if it's just even, I will then go back and get the 2 bottom white camps, I'll just call them. So, I'll get this camp. I don't know if I'll be able to get this or not. Yep. And I'll get the other one. And then those other 2 camps will be done. So by that time, I'll look up to see if the mid camp's there. If the mid camp's there, which it's usually not, then I'll help out mid here. Or I'll look to gank somewhere else, is usually what I'll do. And since Raw's a mage, he's pretty low, I'm going to be able to kill him pretty easily. Now I have my ultimate. So now what do? Well, I think I'm going to come over here, help these guys out. They're not looking too good. So we'll come over here and help out these 2. And as you can see, once again, meta, they're both in the same lane. I'm gonna go ahead and come over here, do a little spinny spin. I'm out of mana, so I'm not really gonna catch them much. Ymir, I'm pretty sure, is going to leave and go back. Yeah, he did. And now the mid camps are up, so usually I'll do the mid camps with the mid if he feels like doing it. If not, I'll go back to doing my own things, or I'll go back and buy. Now I already have a kill, so I'm pretty far ahead. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and try to kill Artemis if I can. I'm not exactly sure if she's at the tower yet or not. No, I think she went back. Now see, I'm in front of them, so they're going to start focusing me. Ymir's going to wall himself because he's a bot. I don't really like him chasing me, so I'm just going to go ahead and teleport out. We'll go ahead and help him out. And I think Raw's gonna chase me, but I think Anubis is gonna help me, so that's fine. And that's basically your starting game. And you know, as the game goes on, if you're ahead, you can kind of start roaming back and forth. Solo will usually help out mid a little bit, and the junglers and everyone will start helping each other out. But it's how you start the game is so big, because if you start off with an AD carry here, or the lane's wrong, you're gonna be so far behind that it's not going to matter later in the game. And the only time that you're going to be able to catch up is if you get to the equal level, and usually by then it's not going to matter. So I'm just going to keep talking about this a little bit. I'll grab a couple wards because I'm playing this because I feel like I'm playing with actual people for some odd reason. And I'll just show you. See, once again, hey, restarting the lane. And because I'm a jungler, I'm going to come up, and I actually think I'm going to start with these this time. And then just being a jungler, honestly, is just a giant rotation. I'm going to do that, and then, hey, guess what? I'm going to come over here and do this. And then it kind of matters on them. If they need mana buff, I'll give them mana buff. Sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. Just depends on them. As you can see, my skin gives me super strength. How about no? And see, usually, if this were the actual situation, I just got a double kill, I'm taking this. Because then what this is going to do is it's going to set the enemy jungler behind. He's not jungling, I am. I'm going to start getting more and more higher, probably more and more fed, and I'm just going to keep doing whatever. Now, usually I would jungle with Loki. Loki is really my main jungler, but Loki has a problem with not having that good late game. So I've kind of branched myself out, started playing Thor a little bit, just because his gank ability is better. He's got that ult that can cross pretty far, and he's got a good natural tankiness that's not super tanky, but it's there. And then you just basically follow your instincts on where you think you should play. I'm going to try and kill Ymir. YOLO. And then another thing to always do if you're playing and you have teammates that don't have mics, buy wards. 100% buy wards. That's probably the biggest tip I have for if you're playing with teammates who don't have mics, buy wards and just ward everything. If you ward everything, then you really don't have to worry about it. A tip as a jungler, which I just died. But a tip as a jungler, just a random throw out there, if you're ever jungling and you're kind of lost on what to do, you're always falling behind and you don't know why. A main thing to always do if you're falling behind Find a lane where you don't have allies. If you got all your buffs, you got all your camps, or your camps are gone, might be getting counter jungled. Find a lane that doesn't have allies, like I just did. Duo lane, no one was there. I went over and farmed and kept the lane pushed. That's a big thing for jungling because, you know, sometimes I see junglers, they're just roaming in the jungle, just waiting for camps to come up. When as a jungler, you should never be. Only time you should be sitting there is if you're setting up for something. You're looking a little low there, Anubis. Juke. Missed. But anyways, honestly, I think that... Oh, you're chasing me. Why are you chasing me? You're bad. But basically, I think that's going to do it for this video. You know, this video's been really, really long, and I've probably reiterated a lot of stuff that I shouldn't have reiterated. But I feel like getting the point across. You know, I've seen some people... I've been... What? He's still following me? Okay, well, let's first do this. He's still following me. Hey, Anubis, wanna help? I'm just gonna keep juking so Anubis can... Oh, missed. Dang it. What? Okay. But anyway, you know, these are some tips that I think people need to learn, and people that watch my channel, or maybe you're getting into Smite, even if it's on the PC, because the PC is free to play. So if you have a computer and you want to play a MOBA that's not like any other MOBA that you've played before, definitely get into Smite. It's really, really fun to play. And you know, just do that. I am probably dead. But it's just something that's fun to play, especially with friends. And if you get a large group of people, it's overly fun to play. And as I get better and as the league comes, I'm definitely going to be doing some league videos. The last thing I want to talk about for people who've been watching this video all the way through is I've been starting a new thing. I've been streaming on a schedule lately. I actually took a break today, so that's why I decided to make a longer video for you guys, just because I took a little bit of a break. And but I've been streaming every single day, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Mainly Smite, can be other stuff. And you know, it's a thing that's nice to do. Oh, okay. Didn't expect that. But anyway, you know, it's just something that's fun to do. I love live streaming. I love listening to you guys come in and talk to me in the chat and everything. And you know, I've just been hearing from people. You know, I tweeted at Hi-Rez actually because I was seeing if they were ever going to put in some kind of a tutorial for people who don't know the meta or who don't know how to play the game as they pretty much intended it. And some people were just like, oh, well, you know, there's not a meta or whatever, you know, you can play wherever, whenever, and however. I'm just like, that's not really true. They made the game the way they did for a reason, and I think people need to learn. So I decided, you know, until they make their own tutorial, I thought I would make mine and just kind of show my steps, or at least some 5 easy steps on how to get into the game of Smite and just learn what you need to do. Because I've talked to people who didn't even play the tutorial, and then when they did, they were like, wow, I completely missed this. Like, I didn't know that this was a thing. Or people that... No. Sorry. But people that just missed kind of the basics. They're running into towers without minions. They're taking gods into places that those gods don't need to ever be near and stuff like that. And then they're playing the game, they're losing like crazy, and then they're kind of not liking it anymore, and it's really a shame because this is a very, very good game. And for something like that to happen, it's just really a shame. So, you know, for a video to come up and hopefully a lot of people start watching this, or at least we can spread the word to do some extra stuff to help out, and maybe some people can actually get those extra things done. So when the all-loved League play comes in and people start playing ranked games, there's not those people that are stuck in Bronze 5 all the time or just stuck doing nothing because, you know, they struggled in normals and never knew what they were doing, or got bad information from people who didn't know what they were talking about, and not really people that didn't know what they were talking about, but just people who maybe weren't as experienced, or people that have their own opinions that, yeah, I understand, but really isn't 100% truthful. And you know, when it comes down to it, any information helps and you can take it any way you want. And knowledge is power. So, I mean, if you're one of those players that is good enough to hop into any game, pick any god and play any position, kudos to you. I can kind of do that, but I'm not going to do it just because I play who I have, and I honestly like playing the gods where they play. I don't know, I just find it more fun playing them where they should be. But anyways, but you know, this video isn't for those kind of people, I guess. This video is for those people that have never even, maybe haven't even played a MOBA before. Or maybe, why is it? Oh, that's, we have an ETH. But, like, maybe they haven't played a MOBA before. Or maybe they haven't... Okay. Or, sorry, I'm getting, like, distracted from this game. Like, I feel like I'm playing a real game. Or maybe they haven't just played Smite before, but they played others. But they just kind of had their own little opinions over certain stuff. This is a good video for them. This is something that, you know, might go from, oh, well... Can I? Yep. Okay. But maybe someone who's like, oh, well, you know, this game sucks, and I don't want to play it anymore because I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe a video like this, or maybe you know a friend that could use a video like this that can help them out in the later stages of it. And when it comes to playing ranked, you're going to be those kids that know what they're doing. They're going to be playing people in the positions that they need to. They're going to be playing the game right. You're going to have your duo lane and your duo lane, your solos and your solos, your mages and your mids, and so on and so forth. And you're going to be Diamond 5, Master even, or whatever the last one is. I forget what it is. And you're going to be doing insanely well. So, I'm going to go ahead and leave this here. Hope you guys enjoyed. I am actually going to be doing something else here in the later things.
Your left tower is under attack.
If you do need help, if there's something of the basics, because I'm not going to be a person that says, okay, I know every single strategy from every single thing, and I'm the best person you should ask about this stuff. But I know enough. So, eventually, I'm going to start doing some videos, some extra tips and stuff, maybe some jungling tips, or just some role tips, or some god tips, and just help out. And hopefully, it'll help you guys out. Hopefully, you share the videos, and we get a good following for Smite, because Smite is an amazing game, and I really hope it goes far, especially on Xbox. And PC's just been it's come a really long way. So, with that being said, I think that's going to do it. This has been a longer video, so I hope this makes up for missing the live stream today. God, Thor, you're annoying. Go on, you're annoying. Oh, but this, before I even do my outro, this is actually a pretty good example. So, think about this. Thor has not been jungling.
I'll feel that in the morning.
Actually, let's see if I can do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. And that.
Your right tower has been destroyed.
But anyway, so, like I was saying, this is a great example of what I'm talking about. So, Thor hasn't been jungling. The Thor bot has just stayed in lane with Guan Yu and not moved. He has not been playing his meta position. Now look at the difference in levels. Yeah, he's a bot. You could say, oh, well, he's a bot. But this is just a good example. He hasn't been playing in his lane, or hasn't been doing what he needs to be doing, so he's fallen really far behind. Now something else to think about is this. Imagine a full team of 5 in scrambled positions. And a hunter and a mage in solo lane. A soloer in mid. And a jungler and a solo in... or a jungler and a support in duo. Now, it's not... Oh. Xbox, stop listening. Sorry for the little pause. Anyways. So, instead of having one player far behind, like Thor is, you now have 5 players far behind. Because they're not playing where they need to be playing. Then you have mixed that with the... Oh wow, they're actually pretty far away. Mix that with the frustrations of players who maybe don't have mics. Mix that in with... I'm getting completely trapped. Actually, I have 16 out of 3 kills. Or 16 out of 17 kills. Never mind. But anyways, so like you have people that don't have mics, and I'm actually going to go ahead and end this game because I've got everything out of that. But anyways, so just imagine you have 5 people that are falling behind because they're scrambled positions. And now you mix that in with no mics or toxic behavior, because that's usually what comes with it. Now it's ranked play, so now you're costing people tribute. And just imagine the difference in experience of the team that's... Everyone's in their right positions. Everyone's playing their roles right. Everyone's building everything they need to. And everyone's communicating with mics so they know what they're doing. That team is going to get to the higher ranks faster. And it doesn't matter who tells you differently, because unless you're a pro and you're getting paid to do this, there's no reason that you should be playing... I would say this. Here's definitely what I would say. Because I've even seen this happen. If you don't know how to play a god, or if you're playing a new god, any single game, ask someone how you would play them. Doesn't even have to be a whole guide. Just ask them how you would play them, or how you would build them, or how you would level them. And that way you know. Ask where they would go. How they would go about starting the game, finishing the game. If you're going to the game and I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna buy Nemesis. I'd get into a game and I'd be like, hey guys, how would you guys go about leveling her? Or what do you guys think would be the best build for a Nemesis? And you know, sometimes you might get a little smart remark from people like, oh my gosh, now we're going to lose. But it's better to ask than to not say anything. But anyways, I think it's going to do it for this video. It's been kind of long. Probably start live streaming again tomorrow, again 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Twitch.tv/MasterRKO3 instead of an E0 instead of an O. And if you need any more Smite tutorials tips or tricks, God tips or tricks, leave it in the comments below. Follow me on Twitch and send me a message in chat while I'm streaming. Follow me on Twitter at MasterRKO. Send me a direct message or just tweet at me. Daisy Despair is really getting on my nerves. So we'll look at my profile instead. And get at me any way you can if there's something that you need, even if it's Smite information. How can I do this better? Why does this keep happening? Is there going to be a patch? When are we going to get this? Are there going to be new gods? Blah, blah, blah. So on and so forth. Just get at me. Message me. I can tell you, or I can make a video about it if you'd like me to do that as well. So just before I end, a new update on what's been going on. I'm level 27 now, halfway there, so I'm 2.5 levels away from getting level 30, and then when League comes up, I will finally be there, and I won't have to worry about leveling up or anything. I got 22 gods unlocked now. I bought Hercules, was the last god that I just bought. Did I buy anyone else? No. I got 3 skins now because I bought the Thor skin, 0 reward skins because you can't do that, and I got 6 other because those are the player icons that I've gotten from playing the games of the week. Unfortunately, this one has not been very playable because the Loki versus Loki hasn't been played very much because not very many people know about Loki, so that's unfortunate because I do, ha ha ha. As always, make sure if you have Smite, you're logging in every single day to get your dailies. If you can do it on PC and Xbox, then eventually if you get the God Pack, you can combine everything. And eventually you'll get gems as well. Also make sure you're playing your dailies so that way you can get more favor. Make sure you're being a good team sport, not leaving games, not intentionally feeding and not dodging, so that way your honorability stays high, so that way you can get that 30% extra bonus that you're getting. And as always, I am Master RKO from the RKO Network, and I will see you guys next time. Adios.